Hello everybody, welcome to another watercolor tutorial. We're going to be working on a really fun one today. So the first thing you want to do is trace out a circle onto your piece of paper and, trace it out just light enough so you can see, but not too dark because we don't want it to show through the watercolor. We're going to be using pretty dark pigments, so I guess it wouldn't be that big of a deal if the pencil showed through, but, just in case, keep it nice and light. So the first thing I'm going to do is grab blue, and you're going to want to have black ready as well. So basically, I feel like I've been saying basically over and over, but we're creating like a snow globe sort of effect, or like a glass ball, something like that. So I wanted to actually paint black at the top of this globe, so that's why I left that white space there, but I already had blue on my paintbrush and I didn't want to, like rinse it all out for no reason. So I just painted that on, and now I'm going to add the black because we want the top to be really dark. And some of that black is going to fade into our blue, make it look a little more mystical. Sort of like so. Oh, I am so sorry. Sometimes I get really into the painting and I kind of forget that I am painting for an audience and I need to keep this on the screen. Anyways, so you want to kind of paint it halfway down, and you can continue the blue, painting the blue on the side, but we're going to taper the center off into a different color shortly. I'm just going to continue this. Like that. I'm just going over this again because I don't want any cauliflowering happening. So that's all right the way it is. I'm rinsing my brush now, and I'm picking up like a magenta color. Even pink would work, honestly. I'm gonna use pink because I had blue on my paintbrush, and when mixed with the magenta it turned into purple, so I don't really want that. So there we go. I've got my pink, and what I want to do with this pink is fade it into the blue, but I'm going to pull out my white, which I almost basically never use, but I'm going to use it now because it will hopefully create a kind of a misty cloud effect. That's my hope. There we go. So that looks all right. There's a bit more of a contrast than I would have liked, so I am going to try and fade it out a tad bit. But see, right here you can see the cauliflowering starting, which is why I am going to just go over the entire globe again to prevent that from happening, because we spent some time on this. We want it to look nice, and it would be unfortunate if that happened when it could have been prevented. So that's much better the way that it is now. So I quite like how that turned out. I'm going to see what it looks like when it dries and then determine whether we need to do a second layer. Okay, so now that it's dry mostly, you can see that there's still a little bit of cauliflowering that occurred here, like this little outline. That luckily isn't so visible, but here it's quite a bit more prominent, but it's okay, not a big deal. I can live with that little bit there. So the next step, we're going to be using, you can try white watercolor, especially if you have it in a tube, then it's a lot more opaque. So you could definitely try what I'm about to do with that if you don't have any other option, but I suggest pulling out your white acrylic paint or white gouache, or like I've said before, whiteout even works, just something opaque and white, because we're going to be doing a few pretty cool things. So first of all, because we want this look to look like a 3D sphere, I'm going to paint on some, what would you call it? Like glares, I guess. So there's going to be one that's going to span like this. And then I'm going to paint another one kind of on the opposite side down here. So I started out really light, like I watered mine down quite a bit. Now I'm going to add a little bit more white. I just don't want to go too opaque the first time and then regret it. Like go way too dark. So yeah, you can just keep piling on that white until you're happy with the opacity. My white acrylic paint is not very good quality. I've mentioned this in many videos. Like it's just dollar store stuff. So it takes a few layers to achieve the opacity that I want. And that's okay, like not everyone can or even wants to dish out a lot of money for something that that you don't need to, because you can make do with a $1 bottle, or a bottle that's $1. Yeah, it takes a little bit of extra work, but you know what? It'll teach you a lot more, in my opinion. Okay. I think I'm okay with that. It's a little bit choppy on this side, but we can touch that up later. So what I'd like to do now is water that acrylic paint down a tiny bit, and we're gonna begin flicking our brush or tapping it against another surface. So I'm just tapping it against another brush here, and I'm letting that paint splatter onto my globe because I want this to be a starry night sky. I think we created really the beautiful, or the perfect background for it, so why not? And if you run out, just reload. If you find that there's not enough coming off, then you might have to add a bit more water. And if you find that there's too much coming off, like in huge droplets, then you probably have too much water. So you can just keep going until you're happy with the opacity, or I mean with the density of your stars. You're also welcome to go in manually and add some, like larger ones in particular, if you'd like. I always tend to go in and do that. Maybe make some constellations. There, I made the Big Dipper, or one of the dippers. You can even try some shooting stars if you'd like, using a super thin brush. So I have my quadruple zero here. I need a little bit more water there. Just like that. Super duper simple. Okay, so I think I'm happy with the amount of stars that I've got going on, but I'm gonna keep trying to make these side glares a little bit more dense. No, not dense, opaque. There we go, that's a little bit better. It's a lot more visible. So you can leave your globe like this, like that looks pretty neat, but I would like to add some black silhouettes to really spruce this painting up. So I am going to grab some black watercolor here. I'm just trying to think, what should I put there? I could do trees, I could do mountains. I'm gonna do mountains because it's faster and it's a nice change. I've done so many pine trees that we should do some mountains for a change. So my mountains are gonna start somewhere about here. I'm gonna have one coming up. See, the issue with the acrylic paint is it shows through your watercolor. So I'll have another little guy here. Man, I am hungry, guys. I think that's part of the reason why I lazied out on the pine trees. I just want to eat. Finish this painting and eat. Okay. And I actually like that the glare shows through here, because I would have liked that to be over top, like as an overlay of everything else anyways. What I'm gonna do is try and add some shadows on this little mountain range. So I'm just darkening one side. So I left this side, you can almost see the pink through it. And I'm gonna do the same thing on this guy. I do want that difference to be a bit more pronounced, so I am going back in and lifting off some pigment there. Like so. That looks quite nice. I don't know about what you guys think, but I quite like how that looks. You could also add a moon as another element, which I'm kind of tempted to do, actually, now that I say that. I think I am gonna add a moon. Yes, I am gonna add a moon. Okay, which means I need my white acrylic paint again. And I'm going to put it maybe here, be a nice balance. So I'm just painting on a circle with white acrylic paint, and I'm watering it down on my paintbrush a little bit just because it's easier to paint a circle when it's watered down, and then later you can go in and fix the opacity and any other details. So that's a nice circle. Now I'm picking up a little bit more and making it more of like a moon shape, not shape, but texture. So I'm picking up some black watercolor, blending that in. All right, I think I like how this turned out. So let me know what you guys think, what you would do differently, what you liked about this. Please don't forget to comment down below, hit like on this video, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next tutorial.